Hey there, Mr. Reddit here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parent Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. My coworker tried to guilt me into working Thanksgiving for her. After that, entitled parent doesn't want to pay to get into a petting zoo. After that, where are the stir-fry sauces? After that, I met Karen at Autozone. And after that, Karen thinks I can't read. Now Karen told me if we get 1,000 likes on this video, she won't accuse anybody of not being able to read for an entire week. So please smash that like button. And if you're new, subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. By the way, become an official channel member today and I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming video. My coworker tried to guilt me into working Thanksgiving for her. I'm in the casino business. This of course means that major holidays are just another day for us, and requests off are limited for holidays, if even allowed at all. For background, I am 35, single, and I have no kids. I've been passed over on schedule rebids for weekends off because it's easier for you since you don't have any kids. This of course gives me the midweek, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday as my days off every week. I'm scheduled to work Friday to Monday. Since I have no family, I usually trade Thanksgiving and Christmas if they fall during the week, so other dealers with families can spend time with their kids. This year, I elected not to. My best friend is going to randomly be in my city this week. His wife's cousin or something like that recently moved here, and he will be spending the holiday at her house. This of course means that since I'm off Tuesday through Thursday, I'll be able to go out for some drinks Wednesday night with Ryan, and I have an invite to Turkey Day for the first time since I moved to this city. One of my coworkers, let's call her Karen, has been working for this place way less time than me. She beat me out of another schedule rebid recently because she has 3 kids, and having weekends off to spend time with them is so important. Anyway, Karen didn't so much ask as made a comment to me on schedule day. Karen: "So, I let the boss know that you are working Thursday for me." Me: "Sorry, I can't trade anyone this year. I actually have plans." Karen scoffs: "Well, it's not like you have any family. You need to do the right thing and let those of us with loved ones spend the holiday with them." Me: "Well, I'm sure you get to spend a lot of time with them every weekend while I'm here dealing cards." She just grumbled and walked away. Later on in the EDR, about 5 of us, including Karen, were eating lunch. We were talking about the holiday and everyone's plans. Karen made a snide remark about how I refused to trade her shift. Karen: "All he's gonna do is get drunk and watch football. He won't let me have the holiday off with my family." Me: "Yup, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Remember, you told our boss that you needed weekends off for family time. So really, I'm doing you a favor by working my normal days so you can have all weekend off with your kids. You're welcome." I put on my best grin I could and just looked at her. She was visibly displeased, but said nothing else. My coworkers told me that she whined to them about what a jerk I am after I left. Oh well. Next we've got entitled parent doesn't want to pay to go in a petting zoo. I used to work for a petting zoo that allows visitors to be within the enclosures with the animals, and needless to say, I experienced a lot. When I first started reading this sub, this was the story that first came to mind. To set the scene, this was a location where it cost about $2 for entry to the zoo and additional money if you wanted food. If a kid is under 6, they need an adult to accompany them for safety reasons, and in that instance, the adult gets in free with the kid's admission. If your kid is 6 and up, we assume they can listen to the staff inside and respect the animal's space and the rules. We've got the entitled parent, we've got entitled parent's husband, we've got problematic goose, and we've got myself, zoo crew. It's the summer at a big state fair. The petting zoo is of average to below average attendance. I end up at the front of the zoo while someone is on break, which means I'm in charge of admission and money. Most people don't complain because $2 is a great deal to come and hang out with really cool and mostly sweet animals for as long as you want. Like actually as long as you want. Stay for hours, we don't care. This particular round, we had problematic Goose, who was young and still learning manners, but for the most part, as with 98% of animals, if you respected their space, they respected yours. Because this is a location that people have to pay to get in, we do have a spot for parents to watch their kids from right up against the fence if they don't want to go in, and the kids are old enough. No one is allowed up against the fence in other locations. Food is $1 at the gate, and it's a cone and pellets. Usually more expensive, but it's cut for them having to pay their way in. And there's quarter machines inside. Enter entitled parent who comes in with a girl who is about 7 to 8. I verify the age with entitled parent, and I let them know that it will be 2 admissions and that they can buy food to feed the animals if they'd like. Entitled parent: "What do you mean? I have to pay too?" Me in my best retail voice: "Yes, it's $2, but you guys can hang out there as long as you want, and there's quarter machines for food too if you don't want to buy it here." "I can't let her go in alone." "You don't have to. She's old enough to go in alone if you'd like her to. But if you want to go with her, it's $2. If not, there's a parent-only area right against the fence on the side, so you can keep an eye." Entitled parent, seeming to be mostly frustrated over the cost: "Fine, she can go alone." Entitled parent leaves. I let her daughter know the rules and send her on our way, oblivious to what was going to unfold. About 20 minutes later, a built gentleman in summer attire comes up to me fuming. Admittedly, he held it together pretty well and wasn't yelling, but obviously frustrated. Husband: "You need to let mothers in there with their kids." Suspecting exactly who this was, but not entirely sure, I put on my best retail voice of confusion. It wasn't the first time an unwitting, poorly informed husband was sent to intimidate me. Me: "I'm sorry? Everyone is allowed in." Husband, now gesturing to the familiar girl who is now red-faced from crying and holding her finger not far behind him: "My daughter got bit by problematic Goose in there, and you need to allow parents in." "I'm sorry to hear that, sir, but I told your wife it was only an additional $2 to go into the zoo with your daughter, and she sent her in alone." I had never seen such a look of realization before in an intimidation attack like this before. The husband turned on his heel and led his daughter away, presumably back to his wife to have a chat. Entitled parent was too cheap to go into the petting zoo with her kid, and when her kid didn't follow the rules, she sent her husband to cause a scene. It backfired satisfyingly. Next we've got, "Where are the stir-fry sauces?" This happened a good decade ago when I was about 20. But you know how some memories stand out so vividly? This is definitely one of those. I was a newly graduated veterinary nurse working in a busy little small animal clinic based in a well-known horse racing town. On that particular day, we had had a high volume of surgeries, and I had just spent a good 6 hours solid doing anesthetics, hunched up and concentrating hard, and was so very ready to stretch my legs and eat an overdue lunch. We finally wrap up the last surgery. All went well. No animals were harmed in the making of this story. I am very ready to devour calories. Now, usually whenever I leave the clinic, I would change my nurse's tunic for something more casual. But as we'd been busy and I was 2 hours past my usual lunchtime, I didn't bother to change, and in fact, hadn't even de-accessorized. So I had a full bottle green tunic and trousers, fob watch, name badge with job title, and to top it all off, a stethoscope around my neck. Full on, knackered nurse chick. I was in a rush to get to my coveted sandwich, dang it. Point is, everything about my look screamed medical worker. I decided to pop into the local Marks & Spencer's and get a nice sandwich. Anyone from outside the UK, Marks & Spencer's is a department store that is fairly fancy, not super duper posh, but not exactly an everyday shop either. This branch was a clothes store up front with a food section at the back. Getting lunch from here was a special treat. So I get there, have picked myself a drool-worthy sandwich, ham hock and chutney, yum, and have decided, heck with it, I'ma get me a dessert too. In for a penny, in for a pound. I trotted to the fresh cake section and am salivating over cheesecakes and macaroons when along comes Karen. I know that's a cliche at this point, but seriously, this lady was the most Karen to ever Karen. From the I need to speak to your manager. Haircut to the Audi key rings on Kath Kidston keyring clutched in her bejeweled claws. Karen stops right next to me, stares at me with eyebrows raised, then sort of huff/sighs through flared nostrils in my direction. I assume she wants something I'm standing in front of, so I just shuffle along a bit and keep contemplating cakes. Cake. Karen. Don't you dare walk away from me. Me. Pardon? Where are the stir-fry sauces? She clicks her fingers up near my face as she says this. Stir-fry sauces. At this point, I didn't twig. She thought I worked there. As I'm wearing my name badge with vet clinic on it and knew I was representing my workplace, so I try to be polite rather than just scoff in her rude face. Mistake. Me. Oh, I have no idea. Maybe on the end of the veg aisle? Like with the packaged salads and stuff? Karen, alarming screeching begins. What do you mean you have no idea? This is ridiculous. You should know where all the products are. How can you be so rude and stupid? The irony. Me, confused still, hungry, just want to eat my dang lunch. I don't know where your sauces are. I don't come in here much. Excuse me. I start walking away. Karen puts her arm out, blocking my escape. I can't believe this. You rude child. They will hire anyone these days. This shop is supposed to have standards. I don't care if this isn't your department. You should know this. Shop layout is basic knowledge. Did you even listen during training? Who's your manager? All said in one enormous breath. Kinda impressive. Me, bewildered, still hungry, really struggling to connect that she actually thinks I work there. I don't work here. Gesturing with sandwich at uniform. Karen, even higher level of screeching. Dogs back at the clinic likely start howling in response. Face alarmingly red. Don't get jerky with me. Tell me where the stir-fry sauces are right now. You are going to be in so much trouble, young lady. You might even be fired for your cheek. Me, so done at this point. Stomach growling, sandwich calling. I don't work here. I'm a veterinary nurse. I'm buying my lunch here. Please move. Karen, gears turning, eyes roaming, nursey evidence. I should have known you're from name of a horse clinic, not the vets I work at. They always have silly little girls working there. Look at all the horse hair you're sprinkling around the place. They shouldn't have let you in. It's not sanitary. I'm telling the manager, you'll be banned. For your information, my tunic was spotless as I'd been wearing scrubs over it all day. But sure, okay Karen. Thank the lunch gods, Karen decided to storm off. I assumed to find a manager to scream at for a few hours. I grabbed a custard tart, double pack, and you're dang right I ate them both, and purchased my lunch. I never saw Karen again, so for all I know, she's still there shouting about rude stable girls who don't know where stir-fry sauces are. The sandwich was delightful. Next we've got I met Karen at Autozone. About 10 years ago, I worked as a delivery driver for Autozone. Worked the morning shift, did my deliveries and other stuff, and headed home. Realized I was out of toilet paper, so I stopped by Target on the way to pick some up. Found the toilet paper aisle and headed to get my brand. I'm picky. I was deciding between the biggest pack they had or just the 4-roll, doing the math and figuring out how much I had to spend that week. I noticed another customer had entered the aisle and was heading towards me, so I stepped forward, assuming she had passed behind me, and went back to the big decision I had ahead of me. My concentration was broken a moment later by the distinct clearing of a throat, in that way that it's only made to get someone's attention and not in a very polite way. I never considered that she thought I was an employee and just thought I was in her way. I looked at the gal and smiled, said, "Excuse me," stepped even closer to make room, assuming she thought I was in her way, and went back to what I was doing. Then I hear, "Well, are you going to help me or what?" I was completely caught off guard. I was like, what is she asking me help for? And I kind of looked around in that way you do, just to make sure you aren't misreading the situation. That's when I saw the Target employee in their red shirt and khaki pants pass the end of the aisle. when it hit me. I'm wearing my red shirt with a name tag. I can understand the confusion now. I turn back to her and try to laugh it off to save what I thought would be her embarrassment for mistaking me for a Target employee and tell her, "Sorry if my shirt confused you, but I don't work here," thinking she'd be like, "Oh, silly me, you have a good day." And I'd be able to respond, "No worries at all, you take care out there." But no, that couldn't be how it went down. She proceeds to respond with, "Yes, you do. You just don't want to help me," with a noticeable edge in her voice and narrowing her eyes at me. At this point, I'm gobsmacked, asking myself if this is really happening because it just seems so absurd, considering this was pre-Reddit for me and I'd never heard about something like this occurring to anyone else. I tell her, irritated but still not really mad, "Sorry, but I work at Autozone." She just kinda loses her temper now and says something to the effect of I'm lazy and she wants to know the name of my manager so she can let them know why their employee is lying to customers, refusing to help them, blah blah blah. Then I uttered the line that made me laugh when I found this sub because of how true it was, and said with as much indignation and righteous fury I had, "I don't work here, lady." "You." She got ready to start on me again, and I cut her off. "Look, I've got black pants. They've got tan." I unclip my name tag and hold it out, shaking it at her. "See? Autozone, not Target. Now go away." She starts winding up again to defend her idiocy, and by that point, I'm done. So I grab the toilet paper. Can't remember if I got the 4-pack or the big one. Sorry. And walk away as she's squawking on behind me. Seems like she was trying to figure out which Autozone I worked at. I can only assume so she could come by and spread some more of her mess around there, as well as probably ask to speak to some type of manager or call corporate or any of the other unfortunate normal crap we've all become accustomed to on here. So yeah, that's my story with the reality of how weird people are in retail. I'd have called her a Karen here, but I know a couple of really great Karens, so I kind of avoid the term, but I can see why it has become so prevalent. I no longer work retail, and if the universe is kind, I never will again. But to all you retail workers getting ready for the nightmare of Black Friday and the ensuing holiday season, I wish you well, and I hope people genuinely treat you like people and appreciate you being there. I know I do. Next we've got Karen thinks I can't read. A little backstory. I worked at a high-end technology company for their retail division in a shopping mall. I worked as a technician. Our responsibilities included taking appointments to troubleshoot and resolve a customer's device, as well as scheduling appointments in store for customers walking in without booking in advance. Our appointments are very demanding, and people do have the option to book from home to make it work around their schedule. Let's go into the story. One of my coworkers was a greeter at the front door and would redirect customers to me if they needed technical support. I was positioned halfway into the store with a mobile device to schedule these appointments. I had just finished scheduling an appointment for someone when Karen appears. Me. "Hello, how can I assist you today?" Karen. "I have a broken mobile device. I need it fixed." Me. "Okay, we can certainly get a technician to assist you. Would you like me to set up a time for you to see a technician today?"
"What? Why isn't there anyone now?"
I understand that time is important, and the longer you're without your device, the more aggravating it can be. I would love to pair you with a technician, but at the moment, we have some customers waiting to be seen as well. What I can do is set up a time for you to come back in 1 hour. We can even send you a text to notify, and to start making your way back. Karen, upset by this.
"Fine."
Me. Let me start by getting your first name and last name. Karen, first and last name provided. Me. Okay, would you mind spelling out your last name? The last name was a long and complicated name. Karen, aggravated.
If you can't spell, then you probably don't know how to read."
Me, surprised and upset, I look at her. You know what? I'm not going to help you. I turn and walk away from Karen and the others waiting behind her, but I felt like that level of disrespect was uncalled for. I probably should have stayed there and called a manager over to take over the situation so that I could help the rest of the line, but I needed a second to recuperate. A manager eventually helped Karen as she probably worded her version of the story in her favor, As I walked back to my post, Karen, sitting and waiting for a technician to come, grabbed my arm and said,
I'm reporting you to corporate.
I probably should have said something because she has no right to lay a hand on me, but I just ignored her and went back to work. Some of the customers waiting commended me for putting up with her and came to my defense when my manager eventually intervened. Made my day a lot better hearing that. And shoutouts to our Re-Generals of the day, Off-Road Boy, Shadow Warlock, and Nightmare Trixie. Become tomorrow's Re-Generals by leaving as many Re's as you can in the comments below.